You move through the world like warm light slipping quietly across apartment walls before the city fully wakes, carrying your heart openly. Even after nights that tried to teach you love should always come with caution. The streets below shimmer softly beneath the evening rain, while distant windows bloom like floating lanterns. And every passing face seems less like a stranger now, and more like a story still learning how to unfold. You stopped treating tenderness like weakness long ago. Stopped folding your feelings into smaller shapes just to fit inside colder rooms. Now even your silence carries warmth like jazz humming low through midnight cafes, where lonely people slowly remember how to breathe again. Maybe love was never meant to rescue anyone from darkness completely. Maybe it was simply meant to place another heartbeat beside yours while you crossed it. And maybe courage sounds less like shouting into storms and more like choosing softness in a world obsessed with armor. The world keeps opening wider around you, while neon skies and sleepless trains dissolve into silver rain tonight. And every fragile feeling you once tried hiding now moves through your chest with calm electric light. You no longer walk through love like someone waiting for the ground to disappear beneath your feet, because even uncertainty has started glowing warmer since you learned your heart deserves to be seen. The late night bookstores stay glowing softly beneath tangled telephone wires and blurred reflections on wet streets. While somewhere above the rooftops, music drifts from open windows into the cool air like floating smoke. You realize love is not a destination hidden behind locked doors or impossible timing. It is a movement itself, the way warmth travels quietly between people brave enough to remain open. Even your old heartbreaks feel different now, less like shattered glass and more like sea glass shapes smoothed by time and tide. You carry them gently without letting them weigh down your steps, because the future no longer feels like something distant. It walks beside you beneath the city lights. If hope has a color, perhaps it resembles amber reflections stretching across rain-soaked pavement after midnight, or the soft gold glow inside cafe windows where strangers laugh quietly while the world keeps turning outside. Not perfection, not certainty, just the steady understanding that love grows strongest where people stop pretending they are unbreakable. Now the warm evening air drifts slowly through the streets, while distant traffic hums beneath the violet sky. And every quiet breath you take feels connected somehow to the endless movement of lights beyond the river. Somewhere between the fading jazz melodies and the glow of windows still awake against the night, you keep walking forward with your heart uncovered, letting the world meet you exactly as you are becoming. You walk a little faster when the night air gets colder, and the city lights begin reflecting on the wet streets. Hands in your pockets, headphones low, watching buses slide slowly past rows of glowing windows. The skyline looks softer from here, like someone turned the brightness down, just enough for the world to finally breathe. about old friends sometimes while crossing these familiar roads beneath the neon signs and traffic sounds, wondering where everyone ended up after all those loud conversations about changing the world together. Still, there's something comforting about moving through the city at this hour, like the night quietly reminds you that unfinished dreams are still alive somewhere inside you. And maybe growing older doesn't mean losing the fire. Maybe it just means learning how to carry it more gently. The streets keep moving beside you, and your heartbeat keeps finding rhythm inside the noise. The city glows softly around you while the late night traffic hums beneath the pale blue sky. And every step you take feels connected somehow to the version of yourself still trying, still alive. Even the quiet moments carry warmth when the buildings shine gold across the river at night. And somewhere between memory and tomorrow, you keep walking forward through the light. A couple laughs quietly outside a small restaurant while steam rises from paper cups into the cold evening air. And someone rides a bicycle downhill fast enough to disappear before the traffic signal changes again. You smile without really noticing it, because nights like this make the whole city feel smaller and kinder somehow. The music inside your headphones blends softly with footsteps, engines, and distant conversations drifting through the blocks, turning ordinary streets into something cinematic without needing anything dramatic to happen at all. You realize peace can look simple sometimes, just moving steadily beneath the skyline while carrying people you once loved inside your thoughts. The wind moves through the avenue slowly while the tallest buildings flicker quietly against the clouds above. And for a second the whole city feels suspended between exhaustion and possibility. Not perfect, not finished, just alive enough to keep glowing through another night. Now the traffic grows lighter while the river reflects silver beneath the sleeping bridges downtown, and your footsteps echo softly along the sidewalks where strangers continue passing without looking down. Somewhere between the old memories, the warm lights, and the steady rhythm still moving inside your chest tonight, you keep walking through the city with the feeling that something beautiful is still waiting ahead. The room stayed quiet beneath the pale moonlight while soft cassette static drifted low beside the open window. And they sat together on the floor surrounded by half-read books, cold tea, and tangled charger cables. Outside, the city moved slowly through another sleepless night of passing headlights and distant train sounds, while inside that small apartment, time seemed softer than usual, almost willing to wait for them. The old friend leaned back against the wall with tired eyes, still carrying traces of younger, reckless years. And the lover smiled gently while tracing circles through the dust, resting on the wooden tabletop nearby. Nothing dramatic happened in that moment, yet something about the silence felt important enough to remember long after the night disappeared. Maybe youth was never about being fearless. Maybe it was simply learning how to keep warmth alive through uncertain seasons. And maybe moonlight reveals people differently, not brighter, just more honest than daylight usually allows. The moonlight spilled softly through the room, while quiet city noise faded low beneath the bedroom walls tonight. And their unfinished conversations floated slowly through the air, like small promises refusing to disappear. Even the tired parts of their hearts seemed calmer beneath the silver glow resting across the floorboards. While somewhere beyond the sleeping skyline, tomorrow kept opening gently without demanding answers yet. The old speaker near the bed played slow jazz rhythms while rain began tapping softly against the apartment glass. And one by one the surrounding windows across the street turned dark as the neighborhood drifted deeper into sleep. The old friend talked quietly about roads not taken, small regrets carried too long beneath work days and crowded trains and passing years. The lover listened carefully without interrupting, letting the silence settle naturally between each unfinished sentence. And for the first time in a long while, the room no longer felt heavy, with everything left unsaid. Outside, the moon reflected faint silver lines across the rooftops and narrow alleyways below. While somewhere in the distance, a motorcycle disappeared softly into the quiet rhythm of the city night. If healing has a sound, perhaps it resembles soft music echoing gently through half-lit rooms after midnight. Or the calm breathing of people finally allowing themselves to rest without pretending to be stronger than they are. Not perfect, not resolved, just alive enough to continue growing through another season together. Now the moonlight stretched farther through the apartment, while the last trains moved slowly beyond the sleeping buildings. Outside, and the room held on to its quiet warmth beneath scattered notebooks, dim lamps, and fading jazz melodies. Somewhere between old memories, unfinished dreams, and the soft silver glow resting across their tired faces tonight. Their small uncertain youth continued gently forward into the deepening night.
City lights stretch softly across the river, while evening traffic moves slowly beneath the darkening sky. And they walk side by side through familiar streets, carrying quiet thoughts neither of them rushed to explain. The lover kept both hands hidden inside a long coat pocket, while cold wind drifted gently through narrow alleyways. And somewhere above the rooftops, distant windows flickered like small promises, waking one by one. Nothing around them looked dramatically different that night. Same cafes, glowing pale gold, same buses disappearing toward quieter neighborhoods beyond the hill. Yet something inside the silence had shifted carefully, like a door opening somewhere deep within a heart that had stayed closed too long. Maybe new beginnings arrive quietly, not with loud declarations or sudden changes, but through small evenings where tired people continue walking forward even before they fully believe the road has changed.
changed. The night kept glowing softly around them, while silver reflections trembled beneath the city skyline after rain. And every quiet step beside the lover felt lighter than the fears carried through older seasons. Nothing was fully healed yet, but somewhere between the streetlights, the cold air, and the rhythm of their footsteps through the sleeping avenue, a new beginning had already started, breathing gently into the dark. The lovers stopped briefly beside a bridge overlooking trains sliding slowly through the center of the city below, while soft music drifted faintly from a rooftop bar hidden beyond rows of apartment balconies and wires. The version of themselves from years before would have feared silence like this, mistaking uncertainty for failure, loneliness for permanent distance. But tonight the silence felt calmer, somehow less empty, more like space waiting patiently for something honest to grow. Even the cold wind crossing the avenue carried warmth beneath it, like winter loosening its grip, just enough for spring to begin quietly returning again. The city continued moving endlessly around them, traffic lights changing, strangers passing, windows glowing far above the sidewalks. Yet for a moment, the whole world seemed willing to slow down, so they could breathe without rushing toward tomorrow. If hope has a shape, perhaps it resembles pale streetlights reflecting softly across wet pavement after midnight rain, or two tired hearts continuing through familiar streets while trusting the darkness not to stay forever. Not certainty, not perfection, just the calm understanding that beginnings can exist quietly inside unfinished lives. Now the skylines shimmer deeper against the night, while distant trains move softly beneath the glowing bridges ahead. And the lover remained beside them as cold air drifted gently through the sleeping city streets below. Somewhere between the fading reflections, the quiet warmth, and the endless lights stretching beyond the avenue tonight, their unfinished future continued opening slowly beneath the dark blue sky. The 24-hour diner glows softly beneath the midnight sky, while the city hums low beyond the fogged-up glass. And the youth sits quietly near the window, watching reflections drift across wet streets after evening rain. A bowl of warm soup sends small clouds into the air, rising slowly toward old ceiling lights that never seem to turn off. Outside, buses pass like patient rivers through the downtown dark, their headlights brushing briefly against storefronts and sleeping alleyways inside. Tired notebooks rest beside half-finished plans, and tomorrow waits quietly between scattered receipts and cooling coffee cups. Maybe hope arrives in ordinary places, not through grand moments, but through warm rooms that stay open after midnight. And maybe youth learns courage this way, one quiet hour at a time. Beneath familiar lights, the downtown echo moves softly through the night, while warm conversations linger gently above the empty tables nearby. And the youth carry small dreams carefully, like lanterns sheltered from the wind,
Every passing car leaves a fading glow upon the glass. Every distant footstep becomes part of the rhythm of the city still awake below. The night feels larger than fear and softer than doubt. The cook wipes down the counter slowly while an old clock continues tracing circles through the early morning hours. And somewhere near the back booth a quiet laugh drifts upward before dissolving into the warm air. The youth turns another page inside a worn notebook, adding small ideas beneath sketches of places not yet visited. The city beyond the window remains unfinished, full of closed doors, open roads, and lights burning long after midnight. Yet there is comfort in knowing the streets continue breathing, even when the world seems too large to understand all at once. Outside, a bicycle rolls through the intersection beneath yellow traffic lights and low drifting clouds, and the reflection stays briefly on the glass before joining the darkness again. If belonging has a sound, perhaps it resembles dishes clinking softly beneath fluorescent light after midnight, or the quiet murmur of strangers sharing warmth while the city turns slowly toward dawn. Not certainty, not arrival, just a steady feeling of continuing forward, with enough light for the next step. Now the diner windows glow against the fading night, while the first pale blue of morning gathers above the rooftops outside. And the youth remains near the window, watching the city stretch, awake one street at a time. Somewhere between the downtown echo, the warmth of the late night roam, and the unfinished pages resting open on the table. A new day begins unfolding gently beyond the glass. You sit by the window after another long day, while the evening sky slowly fades into shades of blue and gray. The room feels quieter now that the messages have stopped arriving the way they used to. The breakup happened weeks ago, but some memories still appear unexpectedly in ordinary moments. You find them in old playlists and familiar streets, and coffee cups left half-finished, and train rides home after sunset. The sadness isn't as sharp anymore, just present enough to remind you that something meaningful was once there. You thought healing would arrive all at once, but it came slowly through small mornings and quiet nights. Some days still feel heavy, yet the weight is easier to carry now. You keep moving forward through the changing seasons, while the city lights continue glowing outside your window tonight. And even though the story ended, your own story keeps unfolding beyond it. The memories stay where they belong, not erased, not holding you back. The road ahead remains open beneath the calm evening sky. You walk through places you once visited together, and they no longer feel frozen in the past. The trees still sway in the wind, the buses still arrive on time, and
and people continue their conversations around you. Life didn't stop after goodbye, it simply learned a different rhythm than before. The struggling youth you were a year ago might not recognize you now, and that's okay, because growth often happens quietly. The future no longer feels like a closed door, it feels more like a street you've never walked before. Maybe not every ending needs a reason that makes perfect sense. Maybe not every chapter needs to last forever to matter. You can carry gratitude without carrying regret, and you can remember someone without staying lost in the memory. The night outside remains calm, and tomorrow is already on its way. You keep moving forward through the quiet hours, while new lights appear one by one across the skyline beyond your view. And the person you are becoming feels a little stronger with every ordinary day that passes. The breakup is part of your story, but it is no longer the whole story. The memories drift gently behind you, while somewhere ahead, beyond the streets you know and the nights you've already crossed, something new is beginning to take shape. The old friend walks slowly through the evening rain, while reflections of streetlights shimmer across the wet pavement below. And the city feels quieter than usual beneath the soft rhythm of water falling from the sky. A familiar song plays from a distant apartment window, and for a moment the years seem closer than they really are. The old friend pulls a jacket a little tighter, watching raindrops gather along bus stop glass and drift toward the ground. Some memories return this way, not loudly, just gently enough to be noticed. The rain keeps falling at its own pace, and the streets keep carrying people home. Some things change over time, and some things stay quietly familiar. The rainy memory moves softly through the night, while the city lights glow warmly beyond the mist and passing cars. And the old friend smiles at moments that once felt ordinary and somehow became important later. A shared umbrella, a late conversation, a simple afternoon that stayed longer than expected. The old friend stops beneath the small awning near a corner store, while the rain continues drawing patterns across the empty road. And the smell of wet concrete mixes with the warmth of fresh bread from somewhere nearby. The memory isn't perfect anymore, and maybe that's why it feels more real now. There were unfinished conversations, missed chances, and days that passed too quickly to understand at the time. Still, the kindness remains clear, like a light left on in a familiar room after dark. The rain softens the edges of the city, and the evening settles comfortably into the spaces between thoughts. Maybe memories don't need to stay exactly the same. Maybe they grow quiet lightly. The rainy memory lingers through the evening, while reflections ripple gently across the streets beneath the falling rain. And the old friend keeps walking through the city with a peaceful heart and unhurried steps. The conversations, the laughter, the small moments shared beneath old skies remain part of the story, while the rain continues falling softly through the night, and the road ahead stretches calmly beyond the glow of the next street light.
The stranger arrives at the Ocean Motel just after dusk, while the sky dissolves into shades of indigo and pearl above the restless sea. And the flickering vacancy sign hums softly beneath salt-stained eaves, weathered by years of coastal wind. Suitcases rest beside faded doorways, the corners rounded by journeys no one fully speaks about. Beyond the parking lot, the tide breathes against the shore, slow and measured, like someone turning pages in a half-remembered book. The stranger pauses beneath the balcony light, carrying a silence that seems too gentle to disturb. Curtains shift in open windows, and distant laughter drifts through thin motel walls. The night gathers its scattered reflections, laying them carefully across the water. At the Ocean Motel, the stranger watches moonlit waves, stitching silver threads between memory and possibility, while the world beyond the shoreline feels both impossibly distant and quietly within reach. A lamp glowing behind lace curtains, the soft click of keys upon a wooden counter, small moments suspended beneath a sky that refuses to hurry. The stranger walks barefoot along the edge of the empty pool, where forgotten deck chairs face a sea that never tires of repeating itself. A postcard curls beneath the reception bell, its ink fading into colors borrowed from another summer. Some stories arrive without introduction, settling beside strangers, the way seashells gather along the tide line. The motel keeps them all without judgment, holding fragments of departures and arrivals in equal measure. Moonlight spills across the hallway floor, and distant fishing boats blink softly beyond the dark horizon. Perhaps longing is not always sorrow, perhaps it is simply the heart recognizing how vast the world can be. The ocean asks no explanations, offering only its endless conversation with the shore. The stranger listens without seeking answers, letting the tide speak in unfinished sentences. At the
shares its slow and faithful breathing. The stranger turns once more toward the water, while the ocean keeps its secrets just beyond the reach of morning.
You walk through the waking city while morning light gathers softly on crosswalks, storefront windows, and bicycle baskets left outside cafes. And the streets seem to stretch a little farther than they did yesterday, making room for the person you're still becoming. Cherry blossoms drift between apartment buildings, settling briefly on your shoulders before the wind carries them onward. You carry a backpack filled with unfinished plans, ticket stubs, scribbled notes, and dreams too important to leave behind. The city hums beneath your footsteps, not asking you to have all the answers before moving ahead. The traffic lights change with quiet confidence, and rooftop gardens lean toward the sun without hesitation. You don't need to bloom all at once. The season is never rushed. The flowers in this city blooming. You lift your eyes toward streets unfolding with bright windows and widening skies above, and hope becomes something you can hold instead of something far away. The buses keep arriving, the morning keeps opening, and your heart keeps finding reasons to believe in what comes next. You pass musicians tuning old guitars near subway entrances, their melodies drifting upward through the scent of fresh bread and newspaper ink. Someone waters plants on a narrow balcony, and a child points excitedly toward pigeons taking flight above the square. The city wears its ordinary beauty openly, and painted benches, cracked sidewalks, and neighbors greeting one another by name. You notice details that once escaped your attention, small proofs that life continues growing in unexpected places. The skyline catches the afternoon sun, and even the tallest towers seem softer in its golden light. Perhaps courage is in a sudden transformation. Perhaps it arrives through repeated mornings and steady choices. A sea beneath the pavement still reaches upward, trusting the unseen rhythm of rain and light. You are allowed to take your time while the city blossoms around you. In the city blooming, you move through avenues alive with possibility, while daylight gathers in every corner it can find. And the future feels less like a distant destination and more like an open invitation. The passing strangers, the flowering trees, the songs drifting through open windows all become part of your unfolding story as evening settles gently across the rooftops, and tomorrow waits beyond the horizon's quiet glow. You continue walking beneath the brightening sky, letting hope bloom at its own faithful pace.
as unfamiliar as it once did. While sunlight settles quietly across the floor where unanswered questions used to gather. You make your coffee the same way as always and realize your hands no longer shake when old memories pass through. The message has stopped a long time ago, yet the silence has changed its shape. It no longer sounds like absence, it sounds more like space. You thought healing would look dramatic, like a sudden shift beneath the sky. Instead it arrived gently, through small routines and steady days. You keep moving forward with a calmer heart, while hope sits quietly beside you in the passenger seat. And even after goodbye, the road ahead still stretches farther than you can see. You don't have to rush, you don't have to explain, because becoming whole again has its own patient rhythm. You pass the cafe where you once waited too long, and the park bench where difficult conversations softened into evening. The city remains unchanged in many ways, yet you are no longer the person who stood there before. You learn that grief can coexist with gratitude, and that missing someone does not mean losing yourself. There are still moments that ache unexpectedly, but they arrive less like storms and more like passing weather. You've started noticing simple things again, like fresh bread from a nearby bakery, and the comfort of familiar songs. Maybe closure is not a perfect explanation. Maybe it is waking up one day and choosing kindness toward yourself. You can honor what was real without asking it to return. The ending mattered, so does everything that comes after. You keep moving forward with steadier steps, while tomorrow waits beyond streets you haven't walked yet. And hope quietly reminds you that love was never the only thing shaping your life. The morning still arrives, the seasons still change, and your heart keeps finding room for new light without forgetting where it has been. The story you imagined has ended, but the person you are becoming continues to unfold, carrying both tenderness and courage into the open distance ahead. Friend, I meet the river morning while the sky is still pale, and the water moves without making a promise. And I carry yesterday a little more lightly than I did before. The grass is wet, the air is cool. I hear distant footsteps on the riverside path. I hear birds testing the edges of the day. I stand here for a while and let the quiet stay. Slowly now, the light arrives. Slowly now, the city wakes. I breathe in, I breathe out. The morning has time. Friend, this river morning teaches me that hope does not have to shout to be real, and peace can walk beside greet us without asking where we've been. The water keeps flowing, the sky keeps changing, and my heart remembers how to soften without giving up. I think of the conversations we left unfinished, the plans we folded carefully into ordinary afternoons. Some things stayed, some things moved on. A bicycle passes by the riverside bench, someone waves from across the path. The world keeps beginning again, small and bright and true. I watch the current move around old stones, never rushing, never still. Friend, you don't have to know everything. Friend, you don't have to be ready all at once. The river moves, the morning moves. You can rest here, you can begin here, you can simply be here. Friend, this river morning places quiet hope into my open hands, while sunlight gathers on the surface of the waking water. And I realize that healing sometimes sounds like nothing more than another breath. The breeze keeps drifting, the day keeps opening, and I keep finding small reasons to trust what lies ahead. The river keeps flowing, the sky keeps widening, and somewhere beyond the bend, where the water disappears from sight, another gentle beginning waits, without calling my name too loudly. I found a little corner shop today, and it made me think you would have laughed at the colors on the shelves. I grabbed a cherry soda just because it looked like something we would choose without talking too much. I took one sip and started smiling, and somehow the whole afternoon felt a little louder. I wish you had been there to make up another one of your random stories on the walk home. I keep saving the funny moments for you without even noticing. I guess that's what good days always do. You make ordinary afternoons bubble up like cherry soda in the summer light. You turn simple conversations into little adventures that stay with me for days. I don't need a big reason when you're around, because somehow everything already feels enough. So come find me again, and let's see where this easy day decides to go. I know you'll probably laugh at the tiny doodles I keep making on napkins while we talk. You say they're terrible, then quietly ask me to draw another one anyway. We'll miss the right bus because we're busy pointing at clouds that look like impossible animals. And somehow we'll both agree that getting lost isn't really getting lost today. I like how nothing has to be planned when we're together. A quiet street becomes interesting, a park bench becomes the best seat in town. Even the breeze feels like it's trying to join our conversation for a while. You make ordinary afternoons bubble up like cherry soda. With every laugh we share, you fill the little spaces between moments with something bright that doesn't need a name. I'll bring another bottle next time, and you can pick where we end up walking. I have a feeling the day still has one more surprise waiting for us. you standing where the road feels uncertain, carrying dreams that seem heavier than they should, yet refusing to let them fall. I know the quiet battles that no one applauds, the mornings that ask for courage before the sun has fully risen. I have learned that hope rarely arrives with noise. It often begins as one steady breath taken in the right direction. So I am walking beside you, believing in the strength you have not yet learned to recognize. When the wind pushes back, lean into tomorrow. When the silence grows long, let your heartbeat answer first. I believe your greatest challenge is not the mountain before you, but the horizon you have not dared to imagine yet. I believe every step you protect today becomes the ground beneath someone else's hope tomorrow. The sky does not measure courage by speed. It remembers those who kept moving when the path disappeared. Come with me and let this unfinished journey become its own quiet sunrise. I have watched rivers reshape stone through patience rather than force, leaving beauty where resistance once lived. I have seen the first light find valleys that spent the whole night believing they were forgotten. You carry that same quiet promise even when your hands tremble beneath the weight of expectation. There is still room for your story to rise beyond everything that tried to define it too early. If today feels too large, let tomorrow wait for you with kindness. If your voice becomes uncertain, let your next step speak in its place. The road ahead is not asking for perfection, it is simply asking you to remain present long enough to see the light change. I believe your greatest challenge is already shaping the person who will one day look back with quiet gratitude. Oh, I believe the hope you carry is stronger than the doubt that follows behind it. Walk beside me through this widening dawn, and let the morning discover your name at its own gentle pace. Somewhere beyond the first light, another horizon is already waiting to open.
Golden sunlight melting slow, windows glowing amber gold. Dinner's done, laughter echoes, stories waiting to be told. Tiny hands and tangled hair, crumbs and giggles in the air. Settle down, let this moment stay. Magic woven through the day. Days turning, hearts unwind. Every silly tale we find. Little voices, eyes so bright, whisper love into the night. Evening glow, shining soft and low. Crackles close, never let us go. In this gentle love, memories grow. Love is lighting up our evening glow. Puzzle pieces side by side, simple joys we never hide. Humming tunes the night repeats, shadows on our sheets. Stories fade but feelings last, holding tight to evenings past. Stay a while, let the world move slow, bathe in warmth of evening glow. Bathe in warmth of evening glow. Little voices, eyes so bright, whisper love into the night. Evening glow, shining soft and low. Wrap us close, never let us go. In this gentle glow, memories grow. Love is lighting up our evening glow. Let's paint the walls with laughter, trace the stars after time drifts outside. Here we belong, safe and sound together every night forever. This is where our hearts grow strong. Evening glow, shining soft and low. Wrap us close, never let us go. In this gentle glow, memories grow of us, lighting up our evening glow.